Good morning, sir.
Oh, Wanda.
How are y'all?
Good morning.
Will you turn that on?
Good to go. Good morning. It is now 9:10, and the Brazos County Commissioners Court will meet in a work session. This work session is a presentation and discussion of the Brazos County's existing consulting contracts. This time, the court calls Charles Went. Charles, thank you so much.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yellow power.
Okay, so we had a request to talk about the consultant contracts that the county has, and so we did an effort to try to break these into categories to try to find out exactly what the different types that we have are that would fit what we believe the intent of the request was. And so we will start.
Maybe you should get a consultant to fix that.
My hamstring hurts, and so I may have to call in a substitute, someone much smarter than I. So we'll start with a little bit of the breakdown. So today, purchasing manages approximately 384 total contracts, those that are monitored and managed by purchasing. And those include, I'm breaking these into several categories throughout this, and so please bear with me a few of the details. These are broken into term contracts, one-time contracts that include CIP and other maintenance type items, as well as interlocal agreements. And for a little bit of perspective, in 2013, we managed about 95 total contracts.
Okay.
So
what is CIP for those who don't know?
I apologize. That is capital improvement projects.
Okay.
Depending on who you are, to some extent, project management, that is also construction in progress, and so it has many different meanings, but for the purposes of this, it's construction, capital improvement projects. And so for a little bit more perspective, this is a list, this is an actual screenshot or recording of the contracts that we manage, and we won't go through the whole thing, but it is more than a few of them, and it contains many different topics and subjects, from everything from road and bridge to medical services to psychological evaluations. I mean, it is kind of extensive. Okay, so we're going to break these down a little bit further. One type is the bid. We also have requests for proposals or requests for qualifications. Those are broken down a little bit further. Service contracts, other, and then community service. And so we'll go into what each of those actually means. The bids are the formal solicitations, typically the lowest and best price or most responsible bidder, includes the bids and informal quotes for the purposes of this presentation. Those are things that we actually do a solicitation for and award based on that solicitation. And then we have RFPs and RFQs. Those are as well formal solicitations. RFPs are the best evaluated offer considering qualifications, price, and other factors as negotiated. And then the RFQ is the best evaluated provider, and then the price is negotiated with that vendor. The difference in that is 2254 of the government code stipulates that we cannot use price in determining who we'll go for. We have to evaluate them based on their qualifications and so forth, and then we negotiate the best available price. We don't want the cheapest person coming in engineering a building, right? It may be Charles Went and Associates, and we can draw lines on a paper, but it's going to fall down when you start putting it together, right? So that is why the legislature, in their infinite wisdom, selected to do that. That is meant as a compliment. Service contract.
Why did you look at two of us in particular?
I was looking at all four of you just
okay.
it's a
Making good eye.
nonverbal communication. I'm practicing that.
I'm glad it clarified. I take it as a compliment.
The next type is service contract other, and there are a lot of different types of contracts that are rolled into this, and that includes piggyback contracts that another entity has that we contract, another government entity, state or cooperative contracts, as well as qualified exemptions according to 262024 of the local government code. And then the final type is community service, and these are the contracts that have been discussed somewhat here in court with the Rape Crisis Center, the food bank, so forth and so on. Okay, we're gonna break down a little bit more the solicitation types, for RFPs and RFQs. And I've subdivided those into goods and services, software, and then consultant IDIQ, which is a master contract for a period of time. It can be used for multiple contracts, or multiple projects, and we have that consultant for that period of time. And so the way that we've broken these down, here are some of the numbers that we have for each of those. The vast majority of those wind up being in the 39%, the service contract others, 106 of those. And a lot of those are done for for example, I have a proposal on my desk right now from the Sheriff's Department. They're trying to buy a very specific piece of equipment. There are a limited number of vendors. They are on a state cooperative GSA contract, and so they want to buy that particular one. We have a number of those coming from multiple departments that it falls within the legal parameters of what we're going to do. Commissioners Court will consider that. It falls within the funding parameters, and so that is why that is a large number of those. But it still takes a lot of time to manage that, from negotiations, making sure everything is vetted properly, and so forth. So I think what the meat of what we're looking for here is the consultant contracts, as I understand it, the fixed fee per month or per year. And so it is a defined term with an initial award term and typically available renewals, which we'll discuss further in a little bit. And there is a fixed fee due to the vendor each month or year, and they typically, that work product is delivered as a report or a work product due to Commissioners Court, a specific department, or a committee that evaluates that at those milestones that are stipulated in that contract. All right, and so out of the 384 contracts, the ones that I found that, in my opinion, fall into this, and that's subject to debate, discussion, whatever. If you have all had it for a little bit, I don't know if you have any other ones that you want to look at, because each of you were provided the detailed list of the entire spreadsheet of those contracts that we manage. So of these, we have transportation planning with ITS, and that is, we have legal representation of indigent juveniles that was just approved recently. We have OPEB, the other post-employment benefits. We have the employee benefits consultant, and then the insurance brokerage services for cyber liability and malpractice. But that's actually, they are the insurance broker that we go to for any lines of insurance that we need that were not foreseen previously. And then on the SCOs, the service contract others, we have the medical and health services for Brazos County, and as well as grant writing. Do you have any questions about any of those particular ones?
Commissioners?
I'd
Mr.
love to get rid of ITS. And let me preface that. My esteemed colleague, who spent a long time in the House, and I spent a long time in the House, we both know that TxDOT does whatever TxDOT wants to do. And I don't see why we're paying ITS, was it $15,000 a month we're paying them? When TxDOT's going to do what they want to do. That's my only comment about ITS.
Certainly.
Just to clarify, that contract is under renegotiation to finish the projects
It is.
they were assigned to do, and that is almost at a point of completion, correct?
We will have an amendment to that contract coming back to your, not today, but your next available court date. We will have an amendment to that that modifies that contract and takes out consideration of and so they were working on 4 projects actively right now, and we have one that the Commissioners Court has canceled, and so they will still manage those other 3. And I do not have Prathana, she may be here, but I didn't prep her, but we can definitely explain the benefits that they provide to Brazos County at the next available court date.
Well, let me give you 2 examples, and neither of them have anything to do with the ITS.
Yes, sir.
But they were supposed to start on the bypass 5 years ago. And here it's going to start on December 1st. 1179 was supposed to start this year. Now it's been put off till 2027 because TxDOT, they just change their mind all the time.
And
So-
those, Commissioner, those are not projects that were part of
No,
the scope of what we asked them to do. They were
I
not,
understand that.
if we want additional services provided with helping that, but those have no county correlation whatsoever.
No, I understand that. I'm just trying to make the point that TxDOT does what TxDOT wants to do. And if they want to put a project off, they do it. You know, they don't care. I dealt with them for 5 terms on appropriations, and they are very difficult to deal with. So that's all I have to say about TxDOT.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner. Charles?
We value all of our partners, municipal, state, and all, and we all have our processes to go through. If I welcome each of you to, if you want to go through our solicitation process and contract, we've done an estimate of the amount of time it takes to do a particular solicitation, for example. And it may only take us 15 hours to do one solicitation, but that one solicitation starts in June, and we may not finish it until September. And there is a lot of back and forth, there's a lot of coordination with departments, with other agencies, with checking debarment, with the forms and all that need to be signed. And so it is a lift for us. I can only imagine what it is when you're involving state or federal funds that have their own strings and ties, hoops that they have to jump through as well. So I can't speak personally to their processes, but we do value input and what each of our partners, other government agencies do. Okay, so one of the things that I anticipated, again, I love trying to guess what questions we may get, but one of the things that we anticipated is our contract terms. It's been a point of discussion publicly, and so we want to get it out there and have a discussion with the court about it. We typically, right now, in our multi-year contracts, we have a 2 to 3 year contract, and then we have either a 2 or 3 year annual extensions available, typically not to exceed 5. That is typically our max. It's not in the statutes. It's not in purchasing best practices anywhere, even though that is something that is typically done with other government entities, counties, cities, and so forth. Some a few a little bit less, some a little bit more, but there are exceptions to that for everything. The rates are locked in for the full term of the contract. So if we have any kind of rate modification, then we ask them why. And we don't let them write us an email and say, oh, because we're good people and we deserve it. They have to come back with PPI data, with CPI data, manufacturing. There was a tsunami in Taiwan that required the chips to go up. And only after full justification of that do we bring it back to the Commissioner's Court for their consideration any further.
Commissioner Brown?
Charles, let me ask you this.
Yes, sir.
If a company does that, let's say XYZ company, and they come out and say, we want to raise 20% or 10% or whatever the amount is, there's no justification at that point to go out for bid?
If we are doing a renewal, our steps are typically that we check with the department. How has the vendor been doing? And we want to make sure that they've been performing admirably for the county. If we have any issues, we want to resolve them right then and there. And we start that 3 to 4 months before the expiration of that contract. If it's one that they say, hey, they've been doing a great job, no hiccups, no fuss, no muss, then we want to renew it. Then we get with the vendor and we give them an opportunity. Hey, do you want to renew this contract? If they say, we want to renew it, but we need to add 5%, then we say, you can bid on it, and if you win it with that 5% increase, then you win it, but it's on the fair and open market.
Well, you know where I've stood ever since I came on this with this group.
Yes, sir.
I like to see Brazos County taxpayer money spent in Brazos County, if at all possible.
Sure.
And I know there's a lot of instances where that's not possible.
Yes, sir.
But it gives me heartburn when a company has a contract that started 4 years ago, and then we automatically just give them another year and another year and another year. That bothers me. Because we don't know if that's the best deal for us.
And we typically try to keep an eye on all the different types of markets. Generally, inflation happens across the broad spectrum of everything that we buy. goods, services, or whatever. And we try to keep an eye on each of those different sectors to the degree that we can, to make sure that those are indeed going up. If gas and oil, for example, asphalt, for a little while, we did asphalt bids every 3 months. We did a quarterly bid for asphalt because the price was so fluctuating so much, and we were the beneficiary of that. And so we went from an annual contract to a quarterly contract, and that was a huge consumer of time and resources for us. The price of gas kind of leveled out, and so now we're back to an annual contract. There are still ebbs and flows in that market, and we still bid that out, and typically we will not renew that unless we're in a time of stability and we're having trouble in the Middle East or other influencing factors on the market that it may be going up again. Then we may try to renew that contract, bring it to court for consideration and renewal.
Well, I've got to give you kudos because you and your staff did a marvelous job when you had the chamber event where you had companies businesses come in. This is what you have to do to bid on something with the county.
Yes, sir.
So I appreciate that very much. I will still argue with you every time we have a commissioner's court when I see a contract that's just been extended by another year without giving anybody else a chance to bid on it. So
I look
just so
forward
you
to
know.
that, and I look forward to defending each time, giving you rationale or explanation as to why we think that it's beneficial, but it's the court's decision, whatever y'all want to do. And so for considering that even further, the benefits of the current terms right now are that rates are locked in for the term of the contract. There is reduced labor and less bidding frequency. We enjoy the benefit of that, not having to redo the whole solicitation. It's a reduced, compacted period of time to do the renewals. It's a more attractive contract term for the vendors that are bidding on that. So if you're bidding on a service or goods for us and you know that you have that contract locked in, you're going to be able to sell all the signs and signposts for the Road and Bridge Department. If you know you're going to get that, then oftentimes we've heard them say, hey, we can give you a better deal because we know we're going to get those sales for the next year or potentially the next year. And a lot of times when we go to them and they say, hey, we'd like to renew, but you got to keep everything the same. They're like, well, we really need 5%. And I'm like, if you do 5%, I don't do it. I don't actually do much in purchasing. My coworkers do all the hard work. But they say if you go up on price, any at all, then we're going to rebid it. And typically they will wind up eating that 5%. If it's something that's palatable to them, a lot of times then they will say, okay, we'll leave it as it is. And so I think that the Brazos County and the citizens derive the benefit of having those longer term contracts. And so, and all from the service side of it, from the engineering and architecture and so forth and so on, we get the benefit of those terms that are locked in, the hourly rates, for that longer period of time. Because typically firms reevaluate once a year at least, and they don't typically go down ever that I've seen. Yeah. And so we get the benefit of that. And then we have the increased efficiency with the provision of services and admin duties. It's the billing, it's the W-2, or the setup of the vendor in the Oracle. It's we know who to go to with the issues. They know who to send it to our testing lab or what have you. There are a lot of efficiencies that are difficult to measure because we have that continuity of vendor relationship. And then so, in my opinion, I think that it's worth for discussion because I figured you would ask about it, and I do look forward to these conversations. We're looking for, do we need to change anything? And I know we can't receive any necessary direction today, but I think it's worth a conversation. Do we want to change anything? I think that potentially, and there may be another option, but 3 options. Number 1, don't change anything, keep it as it is, and we have a cap typically at 5 years. Number 2, we reduce the total term to less than 5 years. Or number 3, we can eliminate any renewals. We bid everything out all the time, but I think there's drawbacks to each of those.
So I have some questions.
Commissioner Nettles.
So I think there may be some other future options. What concerned me, based upon your briefing, was you're now handling 4 times the amount of contracts than you were just 12 years ago. I assume that the court has not given you 4 times the number of people. I know this court hasn't. So are there off-the-shelf software applications that would help you to monitor those contracts, to facilitate the process, facilitate communication with potential vendors? Are there things we can invest in technology-wise to leverage the workforce that you currently have that would make your job easier, monitoring, posting, monitoring, all the above for these contracts?
Yes, sir. So we utilize Ion Wave, and I'll give you a little lengthier answer, I think, than you're asking. We use Ion Wave to post our bids and distribute those to the vendors that sign up on that system. When I started here, whenever that was, almost 18 years ago, we were still sending out postcards. We printed postcards, we printed labels, and mailed them out to the vendors. We have been utilizing Ion Wave for a little bit, and we're looking at evaluating in the next very near future doing electronic receipt of bids. That's high on our list we want to do. We've also been engaged with project management, Ms. Kathy Pearson, and her transition on contract management piece within software that we already own. We may need additional seats to that, but we're looking at how we can gain efficiencies from doing that as well. We've been doing it with the people that we have because I'll just brag. I'm smart enough to hire people way smarter than me that are really efficient, that have great work ethic. It's not, you can't continue that into perpetuity, and so we need some pieces to help us, some tools. And so I think
Well, that's a sign of a great leader. Thank you for
well,
that.
I think that with some minor efficiencies through software and so forth, I think we can get even more efficient and reduce our time, have greater transparency with the departments on exactly where their stuff is in the process, and it'll be a benefit to the entire county.
Well, I'd also like to see it on the monitoring side. Before renewals, 90 days before, whatever, some arbitrary time.
Right.
We start pinging, you have a email survey system, that there are a lot of them that are free out there that start pinging the customer and saying, give us your assessment, give us an evaluation of this
Right.
particular vendor. So when we come back and the court is voting on it, we have some data to say, yeah, this vendor for the county is doing a great job, or the customers of this vendor within the county
Sure.
aren't necessarily happy with it.
And so we have a piece that we do right now. It's very manual. It is very antiquated, and we need to fix that. But we hope at some point, I hope to build that into the contract monitoring piece. We already do a customer a compliance review with vendors, and we advertise it at our trainings that we have. We have one here in a couple of weeks or a month or something like that. With the departments, that if you have an issue, whether it's billing, whether they show up late, they're not wearing their uniforms, whatever the case may be, then please let us know. We have a form that we fill out. We go to the vendor. We have a meeting with them. It can be as formal and informal as necessary, depending on the severity of the deal. And it's led to terminations in the past, unfortunately. But 99% of the stuff we can work out. We need to know about it, and I encourage the departments to let us know. If you have a problem with a vendor, we want to fix it. And the majority of the vendors want to fix it. We just have to know about it, and then we start a conversation to be able to do so. And so we've been successful with that. I agree 100% that there are ways to automate that and make it faster and more efficient.
Well, I would want the customer of the county to do it. In the military, we had a saying, if you don't inspect, you cannot expect.
Yes, sir.
So if we're not inspecting the work that they're doing, there's no way we can guarantee any kind of quality assurance.
Certainly.
So we need to figure out how to automate that, how to ping and get our departments involved in giving you feedback so that you can provide that to the court.
Yes, sir. We're happy to include that.
Commissioner Brown.
Charles, how many local vendors do you have in your total portfolio? Do you have any idea, number-wise?
I'll never lie to you, but I will say 99% of the ones that you're happy with are local vendors. Commissioner, I don't have that number. I apologize. I can work on getting that. We have.
Or just a percentage. Would that work?
Yeah, that's okay. You just tell me later. Yeah, I'll tell you, you are smooth as a gravy sandwich. Okay? Thank you, Charles.
We will, it's nice when you talk about my head that way. We will, I'll try to work on that number. Our current list was 274 of the term contracts. I'll try to dig through that and see if I can discern how many of those are. The other part of that issue, and I'll list this as a complication, is what is local? So the statutes don't define a local. Is it their headquarters have to be here? Do they have to have a branch office here? Does their ownership have to live here? What is the address? Is it in Brazos County? What if they're on the Robertson County line? There are many, many difficulties with defining exactly what is considered local. So there's a lot of companies that have headquarters in Austin, Dallas, St. Louis, wherever. They may have a branch office here. Does that consider them local? If they have a salesperson that lives here, is that considered local? And so for that reason, defining that or determining that is very, very difficult for us. And so we look for direction from the court on what exactly is local.
Well, you've been very good about trying to get as much local business as you can, and I appreciate that. And you know where I stand on it.
Yes, sir.
I just like seeing taxpayer dollars stay in Brazos County.
Right.
Charles, since you and Commissioner Brown brought that up, I would love to know from the court what is defined as local. If they have a branch office here, headquarters are in Texas. I mean, you start at the county, and then if they're within the state of Texas, when you're looking at outside vendors, you're looking at out of state, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, if they have Texas ties, and most of these companies will have Aggie rings, and then offices or sales personnel in town or in the county, is that going to suffice our definition of local? Because I think it's very important to define that, so we don't have to have this boxing match every time.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Charles.
Any comments on defining the local contractor?
Yes.
Commissioner Condola.
For me, local vendor is who's gonna benefit the local taxpayer the best. If it's someone that lives and eats here and I see at the grocery store, that's a win-win. I love that. But ultimately, I want vendors to know they can bid on Brazos County potential projects, even if they don't live here locally, because they may give the local taxpayer the best deal. So ideally, sure, I think all five of us would say, I think I could speak for all five of us, that we all want the business to be local used if possible. People that are paying taxes in Brazos County get to actually earn some of that money as well by doing business with the county. But what I don't want is the reputation of a county that won't even really consider or that highly favors local bids, and then you lose the bids that aren't local, and you don't have as competitive of a bid process for the local taxpayer. I think that we can trip over ourselves trying to accomplish a good thing and accomplish something that actually is adversely affecting us. So the best deal for the taxpayers would like to see, and if they're local, that's awesome. But I don't want people who don't live or have their business located here to say, well, let's don't worry about bidding on Brazos County. They're only interested in hiring the local man or woman's, company to do the work. I also want to, well, I guess we'll talk about the rest later. Those are, with regard to local, that's what I want, the
Those are your main
best
concerns.
benefit to local.
And Chuck, I agree with you totally.
Oh,
mean,
I know you do.
I want the best for the county. And if it's in New York City, then it's in New York City.
Well, that's a little much, Fred.
Well,
I mean, come on,
But,
within reason.
but,
Yeah, right, and I agree also, because I understand the need to want to spend money in Brazos County, but at the end of the day, if we have projects and we have things that need to be done for the county, we still want the best organization, vendor, whatever it is, to do that job, because we may not have folks, Joe Bob's, whatever service, may not be able to do the kinds of projects that we want. So on balance, it still comes down to who can provide the best service. And so, again, we always want to start local, but then if that is not the case, then we want the best vendor to do what we need done. And given the magnitude of some of our projects, we just may not have a local vendor who can handle that level, that large a project. And so it still comes back to where I think you and your staff have done a phenomenal job of vetting the vendors that we need to get the jobs done, and to get them done, as we talk about the timeline for getting things done. When you can't find somebody because you're only going local, whatever that means, then you also delay the project and the cost continues to go up. The longer it takes, the more expensive it is. So it's a really juggling act that I think you all have done a great job with
Yes,
determining.
absolutely.
And if we got a 5-year project that is a 5-year project, it's really, I don't see the logic of changing horses in the middle of the stream unless that vendor is not, per the survey, the evaluation, meeting expectations. So if we're continuing to give someone a 5-year contract, it's because, they've done a good job thus far. The project is not complete. Therefore, we need them to continue the project because what they've provided has been quality service.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Commissioner Watcher. Commissioner Nettles, any questions on, or comments on local control or local providers?
No, I think you're right to ask that the court owes you a definition of that, because otherwise, you might be doing what you think is best, and you get a question, why aren't we buying local? The whole purpose of dealing with local vendors is that money comes back into our economy here and provides for our communities. So there are any number of ways they could do that. They could buy materials here, they could have offices here, but at the end of the day, county's a service provider. We want to be able to provide those services at the cheapest cost possible in order to save our taxpayers money. So it's got to be some kind of a balance act, but that shouldn't be on the staff, that's on us.
And purchasing, we want to get the best total value. Sometimes that is the lowest cost, sometimes it's not. And irregardless, we're trying to get the best value, not only for the county departments, but it rolls down to the citizens. I mean, we're all taxpayers, and we want to make sure, we don't want our property taxes, local sales taxes, stuff like that going to spent unnecessarily. And I think the court does a good job and the departments do a good job of that. And so we do not have a local preference. We're not asking you to establish what a local preference, just for general terms of discussion. We want to understand exactly what is the definition of a local vendor. If it's Texas, as I'm hearing here today, then that's wonderful. If it's something more refined or more restricted than that, then that's fine as well. But again, our stance has been and continues to be at this point that we want the best value for any contract that we have. If we're buying pencil erasers or we're buying multi-million-dollar construction services.
Correct.
Great job,
Charles, thank you.
And I would also add is that sometimes local vendors, even if they're not local, they are hire local. So we're also providing jobs. And so I think that is an extremely important, in addition to the service they provide, the fact that they're hiring local, and that is a win-win for the residents of Brazos County.
Yes, ma'am.
Amen. Commissioners, Mr. Wendt, if you're fine with that, if there's any parting shots, questions further on the consultant contracts.
Can you?
The ghost of Katie is back. At this time, please comment. I'll start with Bentley.
No questions?
Commissioner Condola.
I just wanted to also, could you stop breaking stuff? Just be still, Charles.
Yes, sir.
Stop moving.
You know how many times I've heard that in my lifetime?
So I just wanted to compliment your team. One, I really appreciate the leadership you provide that team. You exercise that job with a lot of humility and a little levity, but I think that you are absolutely a safeguard for the Brazos County citizens' tax dollars, and I appreciate that. And coming and learning more about how purchasing works and how complicated so much of dealing with a governmental body is, and that you've got to navigate that between vendors who run private businesses a lot of the time, who can snap a finger and make a decision, and them having to deal with the frustrations of dealing with a governmental agency, and that you guys do that really well. Also, when I came in, I asked you, like, bag, let's have a workshop about local people and how to do business with the county. And one of the best things that came from that, I thought, was that, purchasing does this post-mortem, where if you miss a bid, you can go back and learn what you might be able to do better. And I was patting myself on the back that we established that before I realized that that's how y'all have always done it. It wasn't me at all. And it's a great practice. And in that workshop and in conversations like this, hopefully local companies understand that more. So if you miss a bid with Brazos County, come back, talk to purchasing, figure out why. Hey, I was the lowest price. Yeah, but you were 3 months longer than the other company, or hey, I had everything lined up perfectly. Yeah, but this other company has done this 100 times and this was the first time for you. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. So let them understand that, and that makes them more successful. And it's probably your local companies that are going to take advantage of that more. And so I hope that I would really encourage them to do that. And then last, on the 5-year contract, I do see the efficiency notice of that. It's not just purchasing isn't having to go through all of the hurdles of putting that up to bid each year, but that if I'm going to go buy light bulbs at Lowe's and I buy a light bulb versus a contractor pack, I pay less with a contractor pack. If I'm going to go lock in a bid with Brazos County for a year versus 5 years, I bid it differently. I bid it lower for 5 years because there's more predictable business coming to me because I have a 5-year contract. So I might bid it lower. Then about year 3, I might start regretting that and want a little more money. Inflation's gone up. My supplies have gone up. Ooh, man, I need to go back and see if Brazos County will give me more. Sorry, you have a 5-year contract. So I appreciate the efficiencies there too. I don't know if those have been stated well enough. Anyway, great job to you and thank you for the back and forth with the court and being an open book and letting us, along with all the citizens, understand better what you do. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Commissioner Collins. Commissioner Brown.
Charles, you've been amazing to work with. I've contacted you on so many different areas, and you're always there with the answers, and I just appreciate all the hard work that you and your staff do. And I appreciate, again, what you did with the Chamber of Commerce. Hopefully we'll do that again this coming year. But you make our life a lot easier, and I want to thank you for that.
Thank you, Commissioner Brown. Commissioner Watson.
Excuse me, I agree. And since, I'm almost 3 years with the court, from day one, I have always appreciated you and your staff being willing to help guide me through this process and helping me learn how it all works at the county level. So kudos to you and your staff. Thank you so very much for all that you do.
My pleasure.
Mr. Went, thank you. I want to thank the Commissioners Court for calling this workshop. I think we have a clear trajectory of defining local and how we do business. What we needed to discover today was discovered. What I wanted to point out, you and your department, you have been and continue to be willing to change and find the best practice, and we applaud that from your team, so thank you. It's about 15 minutes till the 10 a.m. court. If the ladies tell me we have a plethora of people that want to sign up and talk on agenda items, please note that we will start as close to 10 a.m. as possible. With that, the workshop on the county's existing consultant contract is now adjourned.